Hello friends, it's me, and today let's check out this Genshin Impact game theory together. Let's go!
Thanks to Genshin Impact for sponsoring today's episode.
Thank you so much.
Alright class, your assignment was to demonstrate reactions incorporating the tree-based element of Dendro.
Professor MatPat.
Talia, I see you're using your hydro powers, very good there. Hutao, yours is, burning. Not entirely sure what you expected there, but yep, it's a reaction. I mean,
Great job, I guess.
Nico, how are you getting along?
Show them.
Sorry, Yai, but you'll find that wood isn't a very effective conductor of electricity.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to lower your score.
Emerge.
Wait, what? What? How?
A+.
Yeah! Genshin Impact.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory!
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory. Hi.
The show that loves its waifus, but not as much as it loves its science. And there is plenty of both to talk about today thanks to our sponsor, Genshin Impact. The game has just released their 4th country update. In it, you'll be exploring the new region of Sumeru, featuring a plethora of biomes ranging from the lush rainforests around the capital city to a desert full of underground ruins and buried lore. The main story quest focuses on a time loop where several characters start to realize that they've been reliving the same day over and over again, which itself has some fascinating scientific implications, but that's not what I want to focus on today. You see, each new party member in Genshin Impact is associated with one of 7 different elements: Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, Electro, Geo, and Animo. But at the start of this new storyline, we're introduced to Nihida, an archon of a brand new element known as Dendro, which comes from the Greek dendron, meaning tree. Now, plant-based powers, always fun to use in games, but there's more here than just vine whipping and razor leaves. Combat in Genshin Impact is based on creating elemental reactions by combining different elements. Most do what you'd expect. Combine Hydro and Cryo and you're getting yourself a freeze reaction. Combine Cryo and Pyro and you get the melt reaction. Makes sense. But with these new Dendro powers, things start to get a little bit more unexpected. Sure, combining Dendro with Pyro causes burning, and combining Dendro with Hydro causes the growth of seeds. Nothing out of the ordinary there, but what really captured my curiosity was when I started mixing plants with electricity. Now, I'm sure we all remember 2nd grade science class where we learned that wood isn't the best conductor of electricity, but
Yes, wood is not the best conductor of electricity. I'm sorry.
it doesn't seem to be that way in Genshin Impact. When you use Yai Miko's electro attacks with Nihida's Dendro ones, your attacks get stronger, which at first might seem obvious, combining 2 attacks equals 1 stronger attack, but it also produces a quicken effect. And no, I'm not talking about personal finance software here. This is a base
Oh, do you get a reference?
effect which increases the damage of your next Electro or Dendro attack, creating either aggravate or spread respectively. Now that alone was unexpected, but even more interesting was when you mixed 3 elements. Dendro plus Hydro equals bloom, but mixing in Electro as the 3rd ingredient creates an elemental cocktail known as Hyperbloom, turning
Hyper Bloom.
the seeds into guided missiles that seek out the nearest enemy. I don't care how many gigawatts he got, you are not getting seeds to leap up into the air to become guided missiles, right? Right? Well, I was curious about these reactions and whether or not they were based in some form of reality, so I did a bit of digging, only to find that there's way more to the relationship between plants and electricity than our school science classes would have us believe. So
Oh, MatPat, this is just a game. You're thinking too much about it. I'm sorry.
stick with me, theorists, because I got a feeling that today's theory is really gonna grow on you. So
Alright, that's good. That's gonna be a lot of puns.
outside of strapping some jumper cables onto my ficus, where can I see the effects of electricity on plants? Well, one of the most common occurrences are during lightning storms. Lightning occurs when particles inside a cloud collide with each other, knocking electrons free, which then attach to other particles. The particles that lose their electrons now have a slightly positive charge and are lighter, thus they go to the top of the cloud. The ones that gain electrons are now heavier and have a slightly more negative charge, causing them to go to the bottom of the cloud. Those slightly negative particles also now need a way to equalize, so when the positive and negative charges grow large enough, that's when you get lightning. It's the discharge as everything equalizes. The ground is also positively charged, which is why lightning is sometimes able to jump downwards towards Earth. But here's where things start to get interesting. You see, air isn't a very good conductor, and lightning wants to take the path of least resistance. That's why it'll strike a lightning rod or a tall building. They're the fastest path to a positive charge and are often made of conductive materials like metal. And while
True. Or if not, a very, very tall tree.
Trees aren't exactly the most conductive, they are tall, so they immediately become a much more attractive option than just traveling through plain old air. And the relationship between trees and lightning doesn't just stop there. Trees are made up of roughly 50% water, with a lot of that moisture contained just below the bark. Meanwhile, a single bolt of lightning can generate temperatures of about 54,000 degrees Fahrenheit, nearly 30,000 degrees Celsius.
Really like it that he included both degree Fahrenheit and degree Celsius. Thank you so much. Great job.
Believe it or not, that's about 6 times hotter than the surface of the sun. And so what happens when you heat water really quickly in an enclosed space? Well, it turns into a gas and expands. It needs a place to go in a hurry. In an instant, the pressure inside the tree builds until finally the gas pushes so hard that the bark can't handle it anymore, causing the tree to literally explode. Wood
The kaboom!
and splinters are sent flying everywhere, as if we didn't need more reasons to stay indoors playing video games. Now, these splinters aren't exactly homing missiles, but it does show that tree plus water plus electricity does result in flying plant projectiles that can do some serious damage on impact. On Genshin Impact!
On Genshin Impact!
But what about when a tree isn't filled with water? In the game, if you combine Dendro and Electro, one of the effects that you get is Aggravate, which boosts the power of your next Electro attack. And that seems kinda weird, right? Why would running electricity through a dry plant make your next electrical attack stronger? Shouldn't have any impact, right? Or maybe even a negative impact?
Good point, good point.
Wrong. This actually lines up with real-world science. In a 2004 Ukrainian study, scientists tested the electrical resistance of a leaf as it slowly dried up. Now, you would think that as the leaf dries up and slowly dies, that its electrical resistance would increase. Less water left in the leaf would mean less ability for electricity to flow, right? But no, the drier the leaf became, the easier electricity was able to flow through the parts of the leaf that were still living. The researchers weren't exactly sure why, but they assumed that it might have to do with a stronger concentration of water and salts in the tissue that was left remaining, allowing for greater electrical conductivity. But regardless of the reason, it yet again proves Genshin right in its scientific principles. The first shot of electricity through a plant is basically paving the way for subsequent shocks to be stronger and more effective. So currently the scoreboard is 2 for 2, which means it's time to look at the final elemental reaction, Spread, to see if Genshin can run the perfect game. In combat, Spread is the opposite of Aggravate. Basically, it uses Electro mixed with Dendro to make your next Dendro attack more powerful. The game even gives us an in-universe explanation for this relationship. We meet a child called Sudebe who tells us that, quote, Electro is good. It makes plants stronger and bear more fruits. But that can't be true in real life, right? If electricity truly made plants stronger and more fruitful, why haven't we heard of it before? How am I able to go apple picking? Wouldn't every farmer ever just electrocute their orchard to try and max out their harvests? Well,
yes, that's a very good point. Wouldn't every farmer just do it?
when you start to look into it, there's actually a lot more here than meets the eye. Loyal theorists, allow me to introduce you to the new world of an old science, electrohorticulture. This is an old study, but way back in 1746, a researcher named Dr. Van Miambre from Edinburgh, Scotland, took 2 myrtle trees and ran an electrical current through one of them to see.
Oh, wait for a moment first. 1746. That is nearly 300 years ago. Wow.
If it would cause it to grow any differently. Now, there aren't many details available about his exact experiment, but from what I could gather, he used an electrostatic generator to pass a current directly through the tree and back down to the ground. And because static electricity runs at a much lower amperage than a lightning bolt, there was no risk of accidental splinter missiles. Instead, after an entire month of being zapped, the tree appeared to have grown taller and had more leaf growth than its non-electrical twin. This was a huge discovery and could be a great justification for Genshin's claims that adding Electro to Dendro gives you more powerful Dendro.
But why?
Again, if this was true, why aren't gardeners the world over putting power grids through their fields? To be honest, his conclusions were kind of hard to replicate. Naturally, other scientists saw these crazy findings and conducted similar experiments, but they wound up with mixed results at best. Some claimed that they got the exact same results, others saw no difference, and even more said that their trees outright died due to the electric flow. But if you think a few failed ferns were gonna stop science, then clearly you haven't been watching my videos, in which
Alright, Neil deGrasse Tyson, science!
case, you should probably just hit the subscribe button so you can be on top of all the coolest scientific revelations as they relate to modern gen open world video games.
Yes, and click the notification bell. Thank you so much.
is a very specific niche, but we are good at it. Anyway, at the very start of 2022, scientists decided to take this very old study in a very new direction. Researchers from the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing attempted to prove that electricity aids the growth of plants. But rather than electrifying the plant itself with static electricity, they decided to instead put the plant inside of an electric field. Basically, they placed the seeds on a metal plate that was connected directly to a negative electrode, and above where the seeds were growing was a metal plate connected to a positive electrode. This created an electric field between them as the positive and negative charges tried desperately to come together. After 3 days of
I think these scientists watch too much of the MCU, Marvel's MCU, the Guardians of Galaxy. I am Groot, editing to themselves. Let's create a real life Groot, shall we? I'm kidding.
Seed growth inside the electric field was 40% higher than the control group. When it came to seedling growth, the electrofield resulted in a growth increase of 15%. All in all, the plants inside the electrofield gave a crop yield that was 20% higher than the control group. Seems bizarre, right? Like, why would being in the presence of electricity change plant growth so dramatically? Unfortunately, the research paper doesn't provide an explanation, but you know what? I think I can. Science has shown that thunderstorms tend to help with plant growth not just because of increased rainfall, but also because their electrical energy helps separate the nitrogen atoms that are floating around in the air. These atoms then fall to the ground, where they're absorbed by the soil and eventually wind up inside a plant's roots. The University of Melbourne, though, has a different solution. Maybe electric fields act kind of like natural pesticides. The electricity doesn't bother the plant, but it might scare away insects, acting kind of like a low-level bug zapper. There's also the fact that within an electrical field, water tends to have lower surface tension, resulting in faster evaporation after rainfall or watering. Lastly, it might just be what electricity does to the plant itself, effectively boosting the metabolism of the plant by accelerating the transportation of nutrients like calcium and bicarbonates.
Do you think that these scientists watch too much fiction and think that, maybe that's possible?
Regardless of which explanation is correct, when it comes right down to it, plant growth involves a lot of chemical reactions, and electricity appears to have the ability to affect each and every one of them for the better. There you have it, my friends. The electro-dendro effects that we see in the game are absolutely adhering to real-world science. Electricity appears to strengthen, grow, and spread plants, even causing them to sometimes spontaneously explode out like a bunch of low-flying missiles. Sure, the results may be a lot more bombastic in the game than they are in real life, but when the alternative is literally watching the grass grow, I think the choice is obvious.
Yeah, watching grass grow isn't that exciting. Have you tried before?
But hey, thanks again to Genshin Impact for sponsoring today's video. It's been really fun to put the lore down for once and instead focus on some of the new cool science-y aspects of the game. So special thanks to them for letting us roll with something a bit out of the ordinary. That said, it doesn't mean
sincerely grateful
that there isn't new lore for us to discover. In fact, in their 3.3 update, they just released a brand new 5-star character, the Wanderer. Once our enemy, he's now an ally with a dark and mysterious backstory full of sorrow and betrayal, which sounds a lot like my kind of character. And if you're dying to understand these characters a little bit more, well, you can now take part in their Wishes from Tevat event, where you'll receive postcards directly from the characters themselves. Apparently, there are plenty of hidden Easter eggs to find inside of them, and you know,
and a lot of the lore.
Know what that means? Lore! I guess I'm just gonna have to keep checking in to see if Yai Miko has written me back. But if you just fancy something different, there's also the brand new game mode, Genius Invocation Trading Card Game. That's right, Genshin now has itself a trading card game. Collect cards, build your decks, and destroy your enemies. And oh yes, my friends, there is lore to be found in there too. I'm not gonna—
Oh come on, Genshin Impact is trying to branch out. Interesting.
To spoil it for you, you'll just have to play it and find it for yourself. So if you want to desperately hear back from your chosen waifu, or you're just interested in trying out the new Dendro powers like we talked about today, head on down to the description and click the link below to download the game on the device of your choice for free in order to start your adventure. It is a huge, massive open world game with a robust story, and all of it is for free. If you're looking for something cool to do this winter, there it is. It'll keep you busy for a while. Now, if you'll excuse me, Stephanie's got a vegetable garden that I think could use a little bit more juice. Time to break out the car battery. In the meantime, remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Oh my gosh, Netpad, don't! Oh gosh, it can either go very well or it can go very bad. Either ways, if things doesn't go that way, you being a husband might have to sleep on the couch. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you find this video quite interesting to watch. Subscribe! Thank you so much. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. And hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye! Thank you so much. Subscribe. Thank you.